auction one. You got one for free.
How much of yourself did you really, like, when you were able to pour into Carson Beckett? Because it sometimes seems like it's just really, you're so passionate about your character, it seems like it's just really you.
Asking about working on
very emotional scenes.
Well, I think every character is an extension of yourself to a certain degree. I think you have to bring yourself into to make the character honest and true, and hopefully that came across, with the character. But when I think a lot of the character has my personality in it. There's a Scottish accent thrown in there, and there's the trepidation that the character has. In a lot of ways, I don't think I so much have that, except when I'm sitting beside Mark, because I'm so nervous because he's so smart.
It's not true, but thank you. I appreciate it.
But I think a lot of the character has aspects of who you are. I mean, like I said earlier, David is pretty much exactly like his character, yet more annoying. And then Joe is like his character a lot with more, hair product.
Is that even possible? I don't know if that's true. You don't mind me throwing in my 2 cents here too. I mean, a lot of times when you're, Robin Brando did an amazing show, creating a set of characters in that first season, but there's always room to fill in, and there were a lot of secondary characters. Beckett was one of them, and I think it speaks to the warmth that Paul brings to the show. I mean, Paul kind of was the heart of Atlantis, and they realized that they didn't have that. As you do, I mean, it's a lot to make a show, and so when they saw what Paul was bringing, when we all saw what Paul was bringing, there was kind of no depth. He was put in more and more in the show, and then other characters were put in less and less, and everybody would be as lucky to get the cast that they have on that show, and Paul was an important part about it. And speaking honestly, when we did kill his character, I mean, we felt like we did cut the heart out of Atlantis, and almost immediately started laying the groundwork of trying to figure out an organic way on how to bring him back, because we felt it too, and we were thankful enough that he's a gentleman and didn't totally hate us, and came back to the show and was able to be a continuing presence in the show. So I think what he did in season 1 was like a how to get yourself to become a lead on a TV show for any actor.
Are you trying to make me cry? Welcome. Dragon Con, first day. Tears.
Somebody Twitter it.
Beckett crying, Mark Gero holding it. Priceless. Thank you, Martin. That's very kind.
Over here.
Paul, I was going to ask, when you were brought in to play a resurrected Carson, clone Carson, did you feel that you had to approach the character differently than you had before, that the experiences had changed him or being a clone? Or do you feel it was just same old Carson going back into the old role? And Martin, I'm ashamed to say I can't remember if you wrote any of those episodes or not, but if so, same question in regards to writing.
Sure, from the writing standpoint, we wrote it as the old Beckett. Obviously he'd been through a lot, and what he hadn't, I mean, it wasn't so much that he was a clone, as that he'd been through a year of torture, and that will change somebody. But it was important for us. I think, oddly enough, we decided it was McKay that went down, and he didn't need a test. He knew it was Beckett. There was something there. That was his best friend, and you could tell. And so, for us, we definitely, he was the changed man, but I think, I don't know, I think you approached it probably as...
Yeah, we spoke about it a little bit. I remember talking to them, the writers, maybe it was Martin, and I think,
Probably Joe and Paul, yeah.
Probably, actually Joe, yeah, and mentioning, like, is there any difference in the character? And I thought, there is obviously, like Martin said, not so much as being cloned as being, sort of tortured and coming back and having that sort of isolation aspect to the character, feeling a bit isolated, which was really interesting when you first initially come across. And I think, the episode when I first came back, you know, after the reveal, the second part, was great for me, you know, to come back, because I felt in many ways when I left the show Sunday, as shocking as it was to everybody, I think as shocking it was to the audience, it was also shocking to me as an actor when you come in and all of a sudden, like, you know, you want to go fishing and you're dead. And it was kind of like, now it was kind of a chance to say goodbye to a certain degree, because they put me in a stasis pod again. But, you know, working with the crew and the cast again was just fantastic. But having that aspect of working again with the character that you worked on for 4 years, coming back and playing the character over again as a clone, but it's pretty much identical. There's this tiny little thing, you know, that's in there, just a little seed of like, I haven't been around for a year, so that was kind of cool to play, you know. And I remember that last scene, and it's just back to Sunday for a second, with David and I, when we shot the last scene. I think Martin came down for it, where we were standing on the bridge, and Beckett said goodbye, you know, to McKay, and they're standing on the thing. And I looked at all the crew and all these big grips and stuff, and they're just crying. You know, it was just really sweet, you know. And I found that, and we, you know, actually, I never had a picture of that, and someone sent me a picture, so I brought a picture of that this weekend, just the two characters. So I have a shot of that, and I looked at it. I'm like, I remember that moment, you know, which is really kind of special, but at the same time really sad. And then when you came back, it was really sweet to be able to come back and work on the show and see everybody, and it was basically, you know, you slid right back in a lot of ways. It was clone Beckett, but same Beckett. Does that answer it all or no? Bad on you now, sorry about that.
But for us too, from a storytelling standpoint, it was great to have him out there, because as early as, I forget the name of the episode, I apologize, there are too many, but it's the one with all of the like the alien creatures when they're down in the basement. Pardon me? Yeah, that one. It was called that one. That's right. But I mean, at the end, you know, they find Michael's lab. It's literally episodes after Sunday, and they don't understand how he's been able to make. You know, one of the closing lines is Taylor saying, "I can't understand how he's made these jumps in technology." So I mean, and for us internally, we knew that was because he had a clone Beckett since the beginning of that season. And so it's planted as early as like 2 episodes after Sunday for how to come back, and then we just had to figure it out. But yeah, sorry. How's it going over there?
Great, thanks. This is for Paul. One of my other favorite shows, aside from Stargate Atlantis, is Supernatural. And I was really happy to see you as a guest star in an episode, same episode as Paris Hilton.
Thank God.
I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about how you got the part and what the experience being on that set was like.
Great. Those guys are really, you know, just, you know, really, really nice guys, the two leads.
That's so handsome.
It's so incredibly handsome. I mean, so big. And Jared is like a monster, you know? I can still kick his ass, I'll tell you that right now. Him and Jason Momoa, I kick their ass both at the same time.
True. A lot of people don't know that, but when Jason caused some problems on set, and Paul was the enforcer a lot. Somebody had to pin him down and, you know, just teach him some business.
Yeah. You want a piece of this hot shot? I'll take you right down. Hey, it's called the knife and the fork. Use it. Okay, hot shot. But, you know, honestly, back to Supernatural, that was really fun that we're going to show it. The show does so well. Those guys are such sweethearts, you know. You know, they've done a show for a number of years when you get two young guys like that have had that much success, and you go, they're like, "Yeah, it's so great to see you," you know, and they watch Stargate, and you're like, you know, I've met them several times flying back and forth from Los Angeles on the plane. They're such sweet guys, and I'm really glad for the success, and very fun to work on the show. Cool episode, James Dean, cool car, you know, that I was able to hang around with, and Paris Hilton, you know. I actually didn't work with her, but you know, it's cool being an episode. She got her head lopped off in the episode. I mean, I think they had a lot of fun with that, you know, and I think she came in and kicked butt. I think it was like kind of what was going to happen. I think she came in, she did a great job, so everyone was very happy with what she did. And
yet most people here would still be fine with her head being lopped off.
Most people might be fine with that, you know, but yeah, it's cool. Supernatural.
Good morning.
Good
Or
morning.
good afternoon, I guess. Nice.
Okay. I know that we're now moving more towards green screen acting. How does that affect you, Paul? And for Martin, how does that affect you when you're having to write? You know that you're going to have to write so much for green screen.
Green screen acting?
Yeah, green screen acting.
You know, it's a bit different. You know, when you work on a show like Sanctuary, for example, which is heavily green screened, you could go into a scene, and some people might know this, some people might not know what they do, but there could be, you know, the general props in the scene are there, perhaps a desk, for example, that you're sitting around, but then everything else entirely in the background is put in later. So you have to go in knowing that you're in an environment of, you know, trees or whatever it is that you're going into. So it's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, I also think, you know, if you're connecting with the other actor in the scene, you know, hopefully, and they're listening, I think acting is much about listening and responding, then you don't really have to worry about that so much as long as you're being honest in the scene. So hopefully that's the case. The thing about our green screen on Stargate we did a lot, we'd be in a puddle jumper, those puddle jumper scenes that, you know, many of the actors didn't like, especially David. And the sound people, because there'd be a sound guy underneath us with a boom, hiding. Eli, a great guy, he'd be hiding under a seat and like bent over, putting the mic up, and there'd be 5 of us in there, and there'd be a giant planet or something exploding in front of us, and we'd all be like, okay, where's the planet? How big is the explosion? Because you get these people like, whoa, and then you get somebody else just like, and we're both in the same scene, so it's kind of like these weird reactions, you know, and, you know, cut to the editing room, like, okay, Paulie's not getting any coverage here, you know. So it's good to know, like, to tell you in advance how big it is.
Sure.
You'll love this. I just did this movie not too long ago, and Mario Wasn't Party directed it.